8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're muted, mate, aren't you? Can't hear you, mate, at all. Yeah, I
hear
can
me now.
Yeah.
The AirPods haven't connected properly. It's been doing my head in. I thought I had it fixed, but obviously I didn't. So welcome back to the Black of My Eyes. Ian is in the studio. I've got Will in the background ready to come on. It's going to be a great show. It's first of many, hopefully, through the summer series. We've also got the Euros to cover as well. We've got lots to go through tonight. Before we do bring Will in, I'm just going to go through the usual rubbish. There's a link if you want to become a member. Keep everything clean, the usual stuff. Share, subscribe, help the channel grow. Super chats are available in the bottom right hand corner. There'll be a prize draw coming up soon as well on the channel for the $40 gift card for Diet Crow. What else have we got? We've got Gary in the chat. We've got Magpie Stew. We've got John. If you want to be able to chat and say messages, you have to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything to do that, so it's completely free. Caitlin and Nick's in the house as well. Lee's in the house, and they're all talking to each other. It's brilliant. Right, let's bring Will in, the star of the show. How are you doing, Will?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me all right?
I can. At least yours is working. It'll work straight away, unlike mine.
Well, to be fair, I was having a few technical difficulties with my headphones, so I'm just going to talk into my phone, I think.
There you go. See, problems we have. My headphones weren't working either. I was doing my head in. There you go. It's not just me. We've got lots to go through, so let's not keep everybody waiting. We're going to start off with some small little stuff, and then we'll build into the good stuff. The first one is, I just want to shout out War Flags and Newcastle Benfield. They're having a charity match on Saturday, the 1st of June. There's a link in the description if you would like to donate to it. It's an amazing fundraiser, so please consider doing that. Benfield are a lovely little football club. You ever played against them, Ian?
Oh, loads of times.
There you go.
Loads of times. Played for, it'll be at least 11, 12 years played against them. They were always a really, really difficult team to play against. And I think they still are.
They're not bad. Well, they started off well last season and then went all to pot a little bit. But these things happen. Right, the first little bit of news. Adidas is now officially on the Newcastle United website. Will, how big is this for Newcastle? Adidas now being officially unveiled. And do you know what the deal was? Did you know the inkling of how much it is?
I haven't really got anything on the inner workings of the deal or anything like that, but it's going to be quite a significant fee, and obviously this is important these days with FFP in place. Getting these big commercial deals in is going to give us more flexibility in the market, so it's a huge positive having these in here.
I love it. Adidas back as mint.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I've seen 40 million a season. That's what I've seen quoted off that.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I've seen 40 million, and obviously what we get off seller on the shirt, and then our sleeve sponsor as well. I think it works out roughly £70 million a season just off what's coming through on the shirt. Where we had Funny 88 and whatever we had, which was that was roughly coming in about just under £5 million a season. That's the difference. of what a shirt sponsor can do, and a massive company like Adidas.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
huge.
I love it. The shirts are just so much better as well. The design better, the look better, the fit better.
I mean, I think people had all sorts turning up for Castor. They had, I think there was one guy, his shirt turned up with a Rangers badge on, something like that. So,
yeah. I
Yeah.
saw that. So it was just a Rangers shirt turned up rather than black and white with a Rangers badge on. It was just a full-on Rangers shirt.
Oh, there you go.
We saw a Wolves player shirt have the badge upside down. An actual player, unbelievable.
Wow.
And it's crazy that they do the England cricket team as well, though, don't they, Castori? So they're obviously
They do
a decent
loads.
name. Yeah. But haven't Villa just dropped them for Adidas as well?
Yeah. Like Villa copy everything of ours.
Yeah.
They've actually the warm-up kit now, like the warm-up shirts and everything, like what the polos and that, they've actually got black and white on them, and that's ridiculous.
It was Giore who was wearing the shirt, and it was upside down. It was probably him just turning it with his muscles.
Because Castor as well, mate. They're in Formula One as well. They invest massively in Formula One. And I think it's McLaren who they invest in.
What's funny, you should mention F1. Amanda Staveley with her statement. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up tonight is because I don't know if Will knows anything about the sponsorship that they've been potentially talking to. Some say Aston Martin. Do you know anything on that?
No, unfortunately not. A lot of the sponsorships and things like that, they're quite confidential, so I haven't really got anything at this stage.
They're hard to get information on, aren't they?
Yeah.
What I picked up on a little bit on that, Baz, is that Silverstone's already turned around and said there's a limitation what you can do financial fair play with regarding players, etc., etc. But there's no limitation on what you can do regarding sponsorship. And these sponsorship deals, what Newcastle United never had before, they're taking the sponsorship to the next level. And we always knew when he came to this football club, his ambitions were to take Newcastle up to the levels of Arsenal where he came from. Because when he first arrived, he made a statement of saying, I think there was roughly, off the top of my head, I think it was 50 people in the office doing all of the sponsorship side, when Arsenal's got over 250 people working for them. So that's the level that he's trying to get Newcastle. He's been part of massive deals. With Arsenal, he played a massive part in with the Emirates and stuff like that. He has played a massive part in the Adidas deal. So I think we're in safe hands with him. So whatever sponsorship comes through and he's the head of it, it's going to be absolutely beneficial to our football club.
Yeah, I think they're looking at a training ground sponsor as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Training ground, we've got training kit. We've still got St James's Park potentially to rename if we want to. Didn't Darren Eales have something like you wanted to bring it up to like 250, 300 million or something like that I read recently?
See, they're on as well. There's not as much the training ground sponsor as well. They're actually going to do they're looking to do a separate sponsor just for the training kit. So it's completely different to what the first team kit will have on. So there's just they're looking to broaden the money to bring as much money as possible in through sponsorship, and it's long may it continue because we've never had this before for a long
well, the
time.
great thing with sponsors is there's so many revenues you can get sponsors in for. So if you look at the biggest clubs, the likes of Man United and stuff like that, they've got sponsors for literally everything. I think they've even got like a tractor sponsor and a lawnmower sponsor. Like, honestly, like such weird stuff.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I love it. The lawnmower that cut the grass is sponsored by Hedge Cutter.
Why not? If it gets a bit of extra revenue in, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I definitely 100%. Right, let's get to the good stuff. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and filter through. I sent you guys a picture of what we're going to be going through. Basically, the squad, what revenue we could save. There's quite a few slides to go through, so we'll start with this one. So this is wages saved so far because Karius, Dummett, Richie and Hendrick, they're all coming to the end of the contracts basically the end of this month. So we're going to save 160k per week just on those 4 players. Now that's a massive bit of revenue. That's potentially 1.5 new signings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think we'll probably come on to them a bit later, but the offer that we've gave to Tozen is around 100k per week, and that's considering that's a free agent. their wages are always tend to be a bit higher than what you'd pay for a regular player. So that's almost 2 players really on our current model.
Yeah, I agree with that. There might be a signing on fee maybe for them or something like that as well. They normally do get that, don't they? So that's another thing to keep an eye out for, how much that would be. But I think that's a cracking start to saving. I'm glad, technically, I mean, from what Eddie Howe was saying, if we got Europe, we might have actually offered Dummett and Richie a new contract, which I think would have been criminal, even if we did get the Europa League conference. Dummett, I can sort of understand, because you need that English contingency and you need players that had been with the club under a certain age, don't you? So we might have struggled a little bit with that if we wanted senior players in the squad. We could obviously just, rip 5 players out with the under-21s and then throw them in the squad, which probably would be better than having Dummett, who looks like he's off to America to pursue his WWE career, the way he was handling that Everton. So, great start to the window for me, just getting rid of those 4 players, which moves me on to the next 3 players, which are unwanted players. Now, unfortunately, that's a lot of money, isn't it? Hayden on 51k a week, Jamal Lewis on 38k a week, and Fraser is on 63k a week. So that's 152k a week.
Mm-hmm.
So then again, there's another player and a half. So now we've got 2 players over the space of 6, haven't we, potentially? Because that is a lot of money. And then you look at this one. Oh, no, that's not right.
See the one with the one with Fraser as well, Baz. There'll be a transfer fee that comes along with that as well. So you're getting a player off with massive wages. And a
that
transfer
was my
fee.
next slide. But
with Fraser, I wouldn't actually be surprised if we come to some sort of agreement where we let him leave on a free, just because his wages are so big. I mean, I think if they can, they'll try and get a few million for him, but he's not the same player that he was when we signed him. I think they'll be quite happy to get him off the books if they can.
I think what I've seen is exactly what we did with the John Joe Shelby deal, because John Joe Shelby was on quite decent wages, and then we'll let him go for, I think was it 2 million?
2.5.
Yeah, it wasn't much,
wasn't it?
It wasn't much, but at least we got something for him.
If we can get anything for Fraser, I think it'll be a positive.
Well, that's what I thought it would be, because Hayden's got another year on his contract, and they were talking about terminating it. So wouldn't obviously transfer fee 0, because we're just going to let him go for a free. Jamal Lewis 5 million and Fraser potentially 8 million. I thought we could potentially get for him.
I personally don't think we'll get 8 for Fraser, but it depends how much Southampton are willing to pay. I think if we can do a deal there, we'll try and milk them for as much as we can. So if we could get 8 million, that'd be a great deal. And then, like I say, Jamal Lewis 5 million. I mean, hopefully.
I mean, how much did we pay for Jamal Lewis? It was 12 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, 12, 13 million, something like that.
And he's still young-ish. It's not worked out for him here, but
no,
there's still a bit of money to be made on him for me.
I think so. I think he's still a sellable, even if it's a few million, like you say, like 4 or 5 million, something like that. I think we can still get a bit of money, hopefully.
He's at 26, and the Cerny's value, it's not very high, like on SofaScore, but SofaScore, I always say try and potentially double the value, because they always undervalue them, but they're putting 2.8 million. We paid 14.7 for him.
Yeah, there you go.
So we want to recuperate some of that if we can, because I mean that's crazy.
That one's a shame actually, because when we did sign him, I know he was really highly rated. I think Liverpool were even in for him at the same time as us. So I thought it was quite a coup when we got him, but it just hasn't worked out, has it?
No, not at all. I mean, I remember his best game he had was at Goodison Park. When
I'd agree with that.
He set up Wilson, didn't he?
The lockdown game.
Yeah,
I think so. That was one of his better games. And
I think that was one of the last times we saw him.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple of injuries as well, and obviously loan spells.
He's at Watford now, potentially. Obviously, he's coming back to us, which would be a bit of a shame. What's this one? Amraco is the engine room, but the entire point of the PIF was to move away from abundance on oil. All right, okay. That's a little bit out of my range. That one. Fraser looks very settled at Southampton. Yeah, obviously the news is Southampton are definitely interested in taking him on.
Yeah, definitely 100%. I think there is a deal to be done there. We'll just have to see the logistics of it.
I can't wait to get rid of him. I really can't.
We've got a few in our squad that were just, it'd be nice to see the back of them, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the three of them we've just mentioned. Now, there is obviously potentially players to sell as well, isn't it? So this is the list I've gone for. So Dubs at 40k a week. Target at 100, which is criminal because it's hard to play the game.
Yeah.
Miggy 60, Murphy 35k, and Wilson's on 110k a week.
Yeah.
And he only plays 45% of games in a season.
To be fair, I'd probably actually keep Murphy as a squad player, in my opinion. And then when you see the wage, it's not too bad for what he's given us, I don't think.
It's a very low wage for probably right for his quality as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that as well, Ian?
If anything, in my opinion, it will have to be a late deal depending on who come through the door. Because I agree with Will when we've been struggling with players this season. He's actually came to the park and played a massive part in the second half of the season. He was quite steady at times. I know he frustrates the life out of us by his decision making as well, but his work rate and everything can be a positive for us. But it's definitely a squad player that. I'm not saying in a 16 because you've got to go beyond that 16 to be competing at the top. So I think for 30 grand a week, it's got to be, like I say, seriously looked at to be kept unless we do something where we overload an area and one of them or two of them's got to go to. Because obviously you've got potentially Miggy there and Murphy fighting for that side. So it's for one, if your prize asset does eventually leave, which would be Miggy, then you've got to keep Murphy, in my opinion.
I think so.
If Murphy goes, you've got to keep Miggy. You can't get rid of both of them.
Unless you buy two.
I like it depends what comes in, and I'll be very surprised if he brings two in on that side. Because
I don't think it'll be two. I think it'll be like you've seen in the previous summer windows. I think it'll be sort of 3 or 4 like really good quality players just continuing the improvement of the squad. I think Mark Douglas put out an article, and it's absolutely correct. They want people that can actually make an impact on the team. They don't just want people to come in and like sit on the bench. I know they might do at first, but especially in the long term, they want people who can really make an impact. So I think maybe one, but they're definitely looking at a right winger.
Yeah, thank God for that. I mean, I didn't realise Murphy's actually 29.
Yeah.
And Miggy's 29, 30?
I think Miggy's 30 now, I want to say.
I think he is. I think you're right. I should know this off by heart, but I don't.
And I put out the news last night that Ipswich Town are actually looking at Miggy, and Brentford are looking at Wilson as well. So if either of them register some more...
We're going to come to that, don't you worry. I think I know why my AirPods weren't working, because I had the left one and the right and the right and the left. I was wondering why they were uncomfortable and not actually
that would help.
Not fitting in my ear properly. I was just like, Jesus. The other side of it is obviously value for what they're worth. Now, I think I've been quite generous with this. Dubs at 2.5 million, Target at 10, Miggy 20, Murphy 15, and Wilson 15, which can raise 62.5 million. And this is why I keep saying to a lot of people, we don't need to sell a big star. If we can be clever, and there's suitors for these players as well, of course, I think that's quite a fair valuation, and raises 62.5 million. I mean, when you look at that now, Ian, would you sell all of them to raise that amount? Because then that in FFP terms is about 180 over 5 years.
It's like I said, potentially you've got great money coming there, but I wouldn't sell all of them. I would definitely sell Dubravka, Target, and look at definitely Wilson and one of the others. I would, like I explained before, I would keep one of the other for like Miggy or Murphy into that squad. But obviously, potentially you've got transfers to add on to them too, with Fraser and Lewis. So that could rise even more to around about the £67 million mark. So that's even more. But it's the wages side for me. Do you know it's ridiculous wages that.
If we sold all those players And on that, that's how much we would save: 657k per week, and we
Yeah.
could raise 75.5 million potentially.
See, the thing is, Baz, as well, when you for the player value and the wages that they're on, that's why we struggle. And
yeah,
with the likes of your Man Cities, I know they're on big wages, but if you're selling them, they're potentially going for that figure, 75 million plus, and they're on 200 grand a week wages. So one player is that there, and if you sell 3 players in a window, you're talking a lot of money, and your wages don't tend to go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just bringing that kind of player in. Our wage above the valuation of player is absolutely ridiculous, and we've got to get a balance where if players move on, we'll get more value for the wages that they're taking. And I'm hoping that they're working in that direction to sort out, which I believe they will be.
Yeah. What's this one up, guys? Have you the loudest sounding computer mouse ever? Yes, I have. Dominic Calvert-Lewin puzzles me better than Wilson. Probably a load of bollocks. Dominic Calvert-Lewin and I heard will only come if we sell Wilson.
Yeah,
we are after another
that's
striker as
100%
well.
correct.
Yeah.
But I actually personally don't think it'll be Calvert-Lewin, but we'll have to wait and see, because there is a lot of noise on that one at the minute. But nothing we've inquired, but nothing's really progressed from there. So I wouldn't really be looking too much into that one just yet. And obviously, it all depends on Wilson going as well.
Yeah, Wilson has to leave for that to happen, regardless of because we are looking to bring in another striker, regardless, aren't we?
Yeah, and I want to say, while we're on the topic of outgoings as well, I think there is quite a genuine chance, because I've heard it from a few people now. I think there's a chance that Trippier could go as well this summer.
Wow, why do you think that? Or what have you actually heard? As I should say, because this is, you're not saying this because you think it's going to happen. You're saying it because you've heard something, haven't you?
Yeah, well, yesterday I got the news that basically it's looking more and more likely that Trippier is going to leave this summer, and then I've had stuff today that Saudi are looking at him. I don't know if this is agent driven, or I don't know where it's coming from, but there's a lot of noise that I've heard that Trippier could leave. I mean, it's not to say it will happen, but obviously we see him as a sellable asset, and this could be our last chance to get decent money.
Yeah, I agree with that side of it, but going to Saudi Arabia, I don't think that'll happen, because of, unless it's only for 1 year, because his missus came back to England because she didn't like
I know
in Spain.
That's why I thought it was a bit strange, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens on that one, really. But there's a lot of noise coming out about him leaving, definitely.
And we've got Miggy to potentially Ipswich. That's again a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, I can't really say any more than just that they've registered interest in him. And yeah, I think if that's genuine and we've got Premier League teams looking at him, then that's only a positive thing, because it gives us a better chance of driving up the price. So let's hope that's true.
If it is, well, it's, for me, he's settled in England. He's got more chance of going to an English club rather than, because he wanted nothing to do with
a Saudi club. Yeah.
He wanted nothing to do with that. So at least if he's still in the country, and like Will says, it drives the transfer fee up with more. You can see that one being a bit positive if it does come on. Yeah.
I think for me personally, like you say, I don't think I see Miggy going to Saudi in this window, because, like you say, in January he wasn't really interested in going, and I think Miggy definitely still feels as if he's got a couple of years left at the top of his game. Whereas I think with Trippier, I think if we do keep Trippier, we get maybe one more decent year out of him, and then I think he's probably on the decline after that. Some people would say he's on the decline already when you compare him to Tino in recent months.
Yeah, he's come back from an injury as well, though, wasn't he? Which
you've got to consider that.
Yeah. I mean, we heard that he was going to sign a new 2-year deal, and that was a month ago.
Yeah. So, funny enough, I heard the same thing, and now it all just seems to have sort of changed again. So
changed direction again.
Is it because Eddie Howe wasn't picking him at the end of the season because he's just come back from injury and he wanted to play?
Potentially.
Is there a little bit of a falling out?
I mean, I haven't personally heard of one. That's possibly one sort of thing of speculation, but I mean, I expect in the coming days I'll get sort of more information on why it's happening and if it is likely to happen. But that's the info that I've had so far.
Interesting. We've also in the papers, we've seen Pope potentially going back to Ipswich, his first ever club, isn't it? Or it's where he's born, one of the two.
Yep. I did hear from one or two people that Pope had a chance of going this summer, but personally, I think Karius is already gone. And then I think when you look at it, it'll be Dubravka because it just makes a lot more sense than Pope going to. If you had to ask me personally, I actually don't think that Pope will go. But we'll have to wait and see.
Some interesting developments in the goalkeeper section, isn't there, which we'll come to in a bit.
Yeah.
Ian, what's your actual take on Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Now, his injury record is not as bad as what people think it is. Yes, he played for 2 years. He only played 17 games. Season just gone, he actually played 34 times. And one of the reasons why he was out for so long is because he broke his cheekbone. Now, that's an unfortunate injury, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what? When we play against Everton, that's one name that I'll look for him not to be on the team sheet because he always seemed to do very well against us. Do you know what? He can be a right handful and he can be a right talent. But like you say, he's been plagued with injuries. If he gets the one for me is if he's only going to come if Wilson goes, he's still going to sit on the bench if he's actually playing in the system that will play. So what's he? Is it because he doesn't want to be third striker, or do you know what? For me, I would hope we'd wait on that one to a different forward pop up. In my opinion, I can see why Wilson comes on and he puts himself about and he's strong. If you lose Isak and you haven't got another dimension to come off the bench, Calvert-Lewin can be that one because he can throw himself about, and he, like I say, some days he has a handful, but I wouldn't be rushing into that one. I'll be waiting right if there's nobody else came available, obviously, and he wanted to come, that's a completely different thing. But I think there's better out there than Dominic Calvert-Lewin for that money.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. This one as well, I want to go back to this one, but apparently he signed a new contract with Ipswich. It's all sorted, so he's actually staying at Ipswich for definitely this season. So that's quite good.
Who's that,
Ipswich, sorry? Of course. The Ipswich manager.
Yeah,
he's staying. So players will go to Ipswich now thinking they'll be playing under that manager potentially.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't ruin his reputation by being in the Premier League with Ipswich. I hope they do well.
They had quite a few players on loan, though, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of work to do in the summer.
Yeah, Middlesbrough. Look what happened to Middlesbrough when they're done really well, and they had a lot of players on loan, lost a few players, and it took them a while to get going again. So, and the Premiership's a different beast to that Championship. So he's going to have to do some work in the summer.
I think this is one of the reasons why Trippier might potentially go, because Tino is stepped up, and we still have cover in Harrison Ashby, and we also have Kraft at right back as well as cover if we really need to. Could you see Tino being happy sitting on the bench for another year while Trippier does his stuff, or maybe sharing the game time a bit?
I personally think it'll be more of a case where they would be sharing the game time, because I think you can't be leaving Tino sitting on the bench every single week. But to be honest, I think he's so good. I think Tino's so good that he'd find a way into the team regardless, whether it's at left back, right back. He can even fill in at centre back. So I don't really worry in terms of Tino, but I'm also worried in terms of Trippier losing his place and whether he would kick up a fuss about that, which is potentially one of the reasons why the club might be open to a potential offer.
Yes, Werner is staying at Spurs for another season on loan. And there's a 15 million option to buy in there as well if he has a good season. Right, we're going to take a look at the squad. But before we do that, it's absolutely lashing down. My signal might go. Fingers crossed it won't. If you are enjoying this show, hit the subscribe button. There is a membership link at the top of the chat. If you want to become a member, it helps to run the channel and keep the cost down for me, which is great. Don't forget to go to Twitter. That is Will's Twitter handle there. Great lad to follow. He's been in our group for a while. I'm so pleased that he decided to come and do this show with me, and hopefully the ones in the futures. But I've been following him for a while, and his information is really good. So please go and follow him. And Ian's is there as well. Oh no, you're welcome, mate. And Yin's just an idiot, and there's his Twitter handle in the top right corner. We'll get through the sponsor stuff really quickly. Diet Crow, don't forget about them. Baz20 for 20% off. Link is in the description. Football Prizes have got an amazing raffle going. They've got a Bruno signed shirt to raffle off, so please consider buying some tickets for that. It's an amazing prize. And don't forget about Benfield's charity match. There is a link below in the description to donate to it if you want to. They do this every year. It's £10 on the door to get yourself in, and the beer's really cheap there as well. So it's another good reason to go and get absolutely hammered while watching some shit football. And you'll testify to that as well, won't you?
Yeah.
On what side? The drink or the
shit football?
I'm not commenting on it because you're trying to put words in my mouth to get me in trouble. I'm just going to let you do that all by yourself. Since you're saying I'm just...
No, I know how good you are. Right, let's have a look at this. This is what I think the squad's going to look like for next season so far. We'll see if any of you guys disagree. I mean, this is just with players we actually physically have, not with players who are potentially coming in. So this is how it looks like it lines up. Pope and Dubs. And you've got Botman, Byrne, Alex Murphy. You've got Shaw, Lascelles and Kraft. Trips and Tino, Hall on the left. I know Byrne can go there as well, but putting his left centre-back because we know he's much better there than he is on the left. Bruno Longstaff, Tonali, Miley, J7, Willick and Anderson is the middle lot. And you've got Gordon and Barnes fighting for the left, Murphy and Miggy fighting for the right, Isak and Wilson fighting for the striker's spot. Anyone I've missed?
Well, maybe Lloyd Kelly.
Well, I mean, we believe it's done. We've said it's done. I haven't put him in there until it's officially announced, though.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah.
The only other one I could think of was Minter, but again, we don't know what's going to happen with him. But we're going to come to him soon.
I mean, you've got Target, but then will he go potentially? So,
yeah, Target. Yeah, I should have probably put him in. Yin, do you disagree with any of that, or is there anything I've missed?
See, going back to the Trippier situation there, though, for me, obviously Tino, he's exceptional, but again, you've got to change the way you play because Trippier's distribution and his build-up play and everything is just it is ahead of Livramento, and that's something that will be really difficult to replace. And when you're relying on Kraft, who I think is a headless chicken, he's a grafter, but again, it's the on the ball situation where we'll struggle down that side if Trippier doesn't play. I mean, Liveramento's recovering and his tackling's brilliant, but obviously he's still learning the trade. Now, I think, like Will says, he'll find a way into the team. Now, for me, I wouldn't be looking at Dan Burn playing at left back ever again because his best position's in centre half. So obviously, I'm looking if it'll be between Tino and Lewis Hall on that left-hand side. So I would say, well, I think it'll be suicidal to get rid of Trippier. I think just for one more year to help this kid be even better what he can be.
True.
Because it's just he's a captain, and we haven't got many captains on that football pitch, mate. You know, and we need 4 captains on that team, and he's massive to our club, massive. And I think, like I say, when he first signed, he was the signing above Bruno, above the lot for me. He was the best that came to the club because he was the main driver that kept us up that season. And again, the start of this season, he was just absolutely flying. Last season, he was flying. And just unfortunately, he's picked a nasty injury up. But just because he's picked this injury up, other people stepped up. And like I say, you've got to realise how good this fella is. He hadn't kicked a football for a long time, but then he's straight in the England squad because he's that good. So to lose Trippier, I think it'll be a little bit. I'll be devastated if he left. So
I agree with that. To be fair,
I'm looking at on that side where. See, Hall's got no competition on that side, in my opinion, because Hall's level. I mean, I was a critic of him, and I didn't. Like I said, Baz in shows before, I just didn't realise what Hall could do. But you've seen after again, it was like Anthony Gordon's situation where he spoke out and said it took him a while to get used to Eddie Howe get fit, and he still didn't look 110% fit when he was playing. But you showed what a good left back he is. Now, if he's doing that by himself with no pressure on him or nobody breathing down his neck, so if you've got Trippier playing well, Tino will be breathing down his neck on that side. But for me, if you're going to go back to Dan Burn, left back, putting pressure on Hall, it doesn't work for me. So you need, do you know, I'm trying to get a balance between.
I think that's where Lloyd Kelly comes in, partly.
Yeah, Lloyd Kelly looks like it's done. So his name could go there. And you could also argue Trippier could play at left back as well to put pressure on him if he's not playing well.
Yeah.
Well, the example what I was given there was before Lloyd Kelly even comes in. It was the squad, what you put out, and what I feel with that, what would be okay, you know. And like I say, I'm devastated if he gone for me.
Yeah, we'll come to this question a little bit later on about Tosan. We definitely wouldn't sell. Well, I wouldn't.
I just want to
Willock
point out as well, Baz. Sorry to interrupt, but while we've been on air, there has been more news coming out. Well, I say news, more sort of rumours coming out on Trippier to Saudi.
Really?
Has sort of been emerging as we've been on air. So there you go.
It really is a strange one, isn't it? I mean, we can never rule anything out. We can't rule out Bruno leaving because if someone triggers that, I mean, there's another talking point. But I love this. I love this statement from the club. Newcastle have made it clear to Bruno Guimaraes people that the Brazilian will not be sold this summer. The only way he leaves is if somebody meets his release clause. So Man City say they're not going to do it. Arsenal are saying they're not going to do it. PSG are saying they're not going to do it. There's nobody left, is there?
I don't think anyone's going to activate it. By the sounds of it, there hasn't been any noise. Anyone is going to activate it. Now, I think Arsenal will come back in after the release clause has expired, but looking at that article and things like that, I don't think that'll give them too much power, really.
No. There's nowhere we'll sell them unless we get the release clause. And after the release clause is ended, I mean, they could say 80 million or something like that. We'll just say no. It's as simple as that.
If you're not going to accept 100, you're not going to accept 80.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we can't do anything about the 100, but we can about the 80. That's the difference in it, isn't it? Right. I tried to put up what we think are the strong rumours who we're looking at. Will you give this the nod? So these are the players that we're potentially scouting or have scouted and looking at. So we'll start with the goalkeeper department. You've got Trafford and Mamadou. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I can't pronounce it properly. Now, he seems to have gone cold, and the Trafford one seems to have become a bit more hot again. But then there's also Ramsey, apparently, is back in the news again.
Yeah, exactly. Ramsdale.
Yeah, Ramsdale. Sorry, not Ramsey. Ramsdale from Arsenal.
Yeah, I think with Ramsdale, there was 15 million was being quoted in the press, and I don't think 15 million is going to be enough to get him. It's probably going to take closer to 30 or maybe even a bit over 30 to get him. So I think personally, I'm not sure if we'll want to spend that much of our budget on him, especially when he's not been playing. So for me, I see him as the least likely of the three. Now, Trafford, I believe, has a relegation release clause worth around £20 million. And we have got quite a good relationship with Burnley as well. And then you've got Mamadashvili, where there's been a lot of noise, but the reality is nothing's actually really happened that's that concrete on that one. So we're still just waiting for more information on that one. But he is a target for sure.
Yeah, he came out and said he played 100. He's played 100 times with Valencia now, and he's looking at 100 more or something like that. That was his statement after that milestone that he hit. So that, I mean, I wouldn't look
too much into statements and things like that. I mean, a lot of the time the players don't even put them out. It can be PR teams and stuff like that. So I never really looked too much into that kind of stuff.
I think Bruno did that before he left for us.
Yeah. No, that was more Leon, wasn't it? Because of the stock market.
Yeah, the reason Leon did that is because they wanted to protect their price on the stock market. Yeah. So they basically tried to keep it quiet for as long as they could.
Yeah.
All French teams do that, don't they? Because they're all on the stock market. So you'll always see positive news coming out of a French club, and then about 4 days later, the player sold.
Yeah.
It's very clever. It's just how they can sell as many stocks as they can and then buy them back when the price drops. It's just all money laundering, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Kelly, we believe, is done. Someone came out and said that apparently they've already done their photo shoot in the kit and everything. So it's pretty much nailed on that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think Kelly's pretty much there. I think we should see confirmation of that one in the next few weeks, I would think.
Yeah. All right, we come to Tosan. So someone in the chat has said, is he still likely to sign now? You put it out there. A lot of people have said, have Newcastle been used again as a benchmark, and then to allow the agents to go into other clubs and get a higher price for them. Chelsea are obviously offered more. We've offered a very good deal, about 100 to 110,000 pound a week.
Yeah.
We've offered them game time. Obviously, he spoke to Eddie Howe. Torstan's very happy with what Eddie Howe said to him about how he will be used next season. But then the agent's probably going, I can get more money here for myself. So Chelsea, what are you offering? And they've obviously gone in with a higher offer, as they would do. It's what Chelsea do. And there's also potentially a Man United coming in for him as well, who have Europa League football, which might get downgraded to Europa Conference on Monday if they, was it Jim Radcliffe's got so much stake in another club? He has to reduce it.
Nice in France.
Nice,
and they're also in Europe. So we'll have to wait and see.
That's going to be interesting. But Torsan's, it looked like it was quite nailed on, but I've always said if we didn't get European football, that one could go up in smoke because he wants guaranteed game time, doesn't he? You'll get that with a club in Europe because you'll get a better chance of starting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really buy into the game time thing personally because we've got Botman and Lascelles out, so he's going to come in and start pretty much every game for us. So I think
I believe
game time
he will,
is a factor for him. I don't think we're at any disadvantage.
Maybe for the rest of the season though, because he might get. What he's got to remember as well, Shaw's in his last season, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
So he jumped straight in. Ian, would you like to see Torsan at Newcastle, or is there anyone else out there who you would like to see us go for instead?
I mean, you can see why it's jumped out because obviously it's a free transfer, and you're getting a quality player there. Now, if you're looking at about game time and competition, I mean, Chelsea's got ridiculous. They've got up to 8 centre halves.
Oh, they have, yeah.
Right. So, and if he looks at our situation, what we've got, like it's just been said that we've got players out injured, he's going to play till Christmas. Now, is he going to enjoy going to play in this lower places?
Yeah, but Man United are coming in for a contract as well, and they're in Europa League, so that it could be potentially, and he will start for Man United because they're losing Varane. Yeah.
Varane and I think they're on about Maguire leaving as well, aren't they? So
trying to sell him, aren't they? Back to Leicester. Yeah,
so it's whether. Well, they still don't know. They're seeing something today that Ten Hag might be staying. So again, they're negotiating these with no managers. Obviously, and he knows what's put in front of him at Newcastle. And what we heard was really, really positive. And I'm just going to I'll clutch on to it. That's going to still be really positive. And if he wants to come, he wants to come. It's not the end of the world, but it's fantastic business for the club because it's a free. And we're getting a top player for nothing. So that's the only downside of it. To be honest, there's no other centre half's names even being put out there because I think we've worked on him. And if when you put everything into that, obviously that's no doubt that they'll have another 3 centre half names which will pop up if that one falls through, which we'll find out. But up to now, it's still Tosan and Kelly.
Yeah, well, the backups, if we don't get Tosan, I think they're looking at Huijsen and Diamande as well. Centre back options.
Didn't they explore Diamande in January?
Yeah, they did. Huijsen's been watched for quite a few months as well now. So, like a lot of these targets, which happens with us, we sort of create these long-term targets. So if we miss out on someone in one window, it doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to come back for them at another point, which you quite often see us do with targets, because obviously these are people that the club rate on a long-term basis. So it doesn't necessarily mean if we miss out on someone in one window, we might not come back in for them.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea could get a ban out of Europe for a year, but I don't think they'll get a transfer ban or anything like that, to be honest with you. I want to come back to this because you clearly haven't been watching any of our shows previously in the past. Because all we banged on about, especially in January, was how we were looking to strengthen the under-9s, under-10s, under-11s, all the way through to the under-18s. because it wouldn't affect FFP. We talked about a lot of players we were actually signing. So yes, we've covered that to the high heavens.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up, because remember when there was talks, which I spoke to Will about this as well, when they said Sesko's agent was in Newcastle. I can't remember what game it was. I got told that we were looking at Lovro Golic, which I put out in the squad in the group as well. Golic, who's a Slovenian under-18 captain, so and he's from Roma. So again, that's in a direction what we're trying to strengthen through the youth to going forward. And I mean, I watched Alfie Harrison's highlights again the other day, and he's just, if that's the standard of youth what we're going to bring in, so that I think that's where the Sesko's agents were, unless Will's heard anything different. That's what I think they were discussing, potentially him coming over.
Yeah, I've had no information on that one, so it could be true. That's your information. So yeah.
But we have, for the high heavens, talked about how we need to strengthen everything, how it doesn't affect FFP. This is why we're doing it the way we're doing it. We're spending, 4 or 5 players a summer window, maybe 1 or 2 in January. We're trying to overhaul the squad, but in the meantime, we're splashing off money in the training ground, training facilities. Everything that doesn't affect FFP is getting improved, and that includes all the teams below. Who we're trying to find players that we know can have a pathway into the first team. And that's why Dan Ashworth was very important at the time when we got him, why we were excited we got him, and now he's just a dirty rat. So yeah, the less we talk about him, the better, to be fair. But that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to buy for the future as well as trying to buy for now. And that was why Lewis Hall was bought as well. One of the reasons was bought for the future. Tino was bought for the future, really. So we're trying to basically do every single part of every squad. That's what we're trying to do.
While you mentioned Dan Ashworth, I did hear a rumour off someone that the arbitration started today, but I haven't been able to confirm that.
Yes, it was meant to start, wasn't it? I thought it was meant to start on Monday.
I haven't really looked into it. I just heard it off someone.
I'm just waiting for the news to break that he's lost.
I'm not really that fussed about him, to be honest. He can do one.
I'm not, but I'm just angry how it's all turned out, to be fair.
It would be nice to see him.
Like you said about Hall Bars, that's why I can see Trafford being a really good buy as well, as a young goalkeeper that potentially, because that's what obviously Howe likes to do. He likes to get them on, to bring them up, to make them these fantastic players, and then I can see that's why I think he likes Trafford,
Yeah, I agree with that. Right, O'Reilly, I know, and there's not a lot of noise about him, but you brought him to my attention, so I put him there in midfield. He would be someone we would potentially look to bring in if Bruno goes. Now, he plays for Denmark, so he's going to be in our Euro group. It's going to be interesting to watch him play, because everyone said he plays in Scotland, his stats are inflated because he plays in a crap league, but he's still got 31 goal contributions in a team, which I think is incredible, regardless of what league you play in. I would think he would half that into the Premier League. He would get 15 goal contributions in a season, potentially. And like you said, a lot of people say he's a cracking player. Atletico Madrid tried to sign him in January, but couldn't, because Celtic wanted to keep him until the summer. So if Atletico Madrid are interested in him, there's a player there.
Yeah. Well, obviously, when we had the show the other night, Gaz put it out there, so I just thought I'll message a lad I knew up in Celtic, and he replied back the next day, and I put it in the group exactly what he said, and obviously he said we'll be looking at the 20, 25, like up to 25 million for him. Did he say West Ham and Everton?
Quite cheap.
Yeah,
West Ham, Everton as well. Yeah.
And he just said, well, whoever coughs up the money is just going to get an absolute world-class footballer. So we haven't seen much of him at all. But when you looked at his stats and everything, what he does, again. If Bruno goes, that's a gamble in my eyes. It really would be. But don't get
a gamble, but it's a good price, though, isn't it, for a player potentially? And his price is only going to go up during the Euros if he plays well.
And he's in our group, isn't he?
Yeah.
So for 25 million, if he's that good, would you take a punt on him even if Bruno and that's in the squad? It's one of them where potentially, just for that price, to get somebody with so much potential to come in, I think it'd be good business. But for me, if Bruno left, he would be a massive gamble.
Barkley's off to Villa. I think that's already done and dusted as well. Right, let's have a look at our right wing situation, because that's where we know we really need to strengthen. Now, Will, I don't know if you've heard this as well, but I have heard that we are willing to break our transfer record this summer. Now,
yeah, I did hear whispers about that.
Yeah, so for me, points to one man and one man only on that right-hand side, and that's Jarrod Bowen.
Yeah. Well, I was messaged off somebody on Jarrod Bowen a couple of weeks ago saying that he's our top target, but then it's come out that apparently he is actually quite happy at West Ham, and I think, like you say, it's going to take a lot to convince him. So in terms of that one, I think you'd be looking at probably 50 million, something like that. So it's a lot of money. I mean, he personally wouldn't be my first choice, but look, if the club rate him, I'm sure they won't be afraid to splash the cash.
I think he's quality. I really do. I mean, we should have bought him. We should have had him if it wasn't for Mike Ashley not willing to pay. Was it 10 or 15 million at the time?
Yeah, he was at Scottish Corner Services
like
ready to sign, and Mike Ashley didn't sign it off.
And the reason why I think it all points to Bowen is being the record. I think it'll cost 60, 70 million to get him, to be honest with you. He can play up. He can play up front, so there's your third striker option, along with potentially Gordon being able to do that role as well. He's obviously left foot on the right-hand side. 34 games he played last season, 16 goals, 6 assists. That's 24 goal contributions. Now, you add that contribution with Gordon and Isak, you've got a team fighting for top 4.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I honestly think he's quality.
I think the only concern with him would be, I mean, some people would say the age, but then again, he could be coming into his prime now. Yeah, 27. So, I mean, he has still got definitely a few good seasons left in him. And I think the one good thing with Bowen, as you rightly mentioned, is his versatility. So I think that's definitely a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's completely far out there that Bowen could be interested in Newcastle. He would have came to us. He's now obviously, is he married now to Danny Dyer? I know they've got a kid.
Yeah, he could be. I'm not sure.
So I know if he leaves Danny Dyer, he'll probably get his throat slit. Going down his football factory days. But Bowen is a stretch, don't get me wrong. But I think if we're looking to break our transfer record, he's the only name out there that I know that we're interested in. We really
I think
would
that's Patrick there has just rightly pointed out as well. He is under contract till 2030, so it's going to take a huge fee.
70. I still think he's worth paying it. I really do. Ian, would you pay 70 million for Bowen? Versatile.
Yeah, he's a top player, no doubt about it. But if I was going to spend that kind of money, I think the bloke in front of him up the top of the pitch is worth. He's going to be coming in roughly about that as well.
So Elise's got a 60 million release clause, but he has said that
I actually think it's slightly less.
Is it?
I think it's about 50, 55, something like that.
Right, I heard 60 from someone at Palace. That's why I was going off.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's thought to be by some people in the press, but I think it is actually a tiny bit lower than that.
See, I do like Elise. Again, he's Premier League proven, which Eddie Howe likes, which is why Bowen is definitely there, because he's someone who does the tracking back, he does the dirty work, he's still quick. Cava, he's off to PSG by the looks of things. He's another dream signing for me, but that's not going to happen. And Chiesa's them there as well, because we have been interested in him in the past. Is there anyone missing from that right-hand side that you've heard that we're in? Because obviously it's the big area that we need to move on. Yeah.
I was actually told don't rule out Eze as well. I was told that Eze actually probably had a better chance than Elise. I think Elise will end up at Chelsea or Man U probably. seems to be where he's looking at going, which will be a shame because the thing on Elise is that everyone at the club had actually agreed on him, everyone at board level, which doesn't often happen on a player. So they were planning on going really strongly in for him. But the news that has come out in the press is that he prefers a move to Man U or Chelsea. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out.
It's a tough one to choose between Elise and Bowen. I mean, for end product, Bowen, for age, you would go Elise because he's obviously got a lot more in the tank because he's only 22. You know, there's a 5-year difference, which means you're getting a player for longer. But Bowen is the ready-made player to play on that right-hand side. Gibbs White is one that FX Pro's put in a couple of times that we've not spoke about. I mean, I just don't see Gibbs White as a right-wing forward.
I see him as a number 10.
Yeah.
I don't really see him as a winger personally. He can play there, but I don't think it's his best position.
Any word on Chiesa, or is that just a pipe dream?
No, it's not a pipe dream. It is a genuine target, and I think Juventus will be open to selling him. But nothing's really progressed on that one yet. So, like I say, he's a target, and we'll just have to see if anything develops from it.
Ian, I don't know where you're getting that from, mate. He's 27. I even said he's 27 before you even put that in the chat. I even said he was 27. Nico Williams would be nice. Elise has 10 goals in 18 games. Don't get me wrong. He's had a brilliant end to the season, Elise.
Yeah.
His injury worries are a little bit more. Bowen's never really injured, is he? That's another thing I like about him. You know, players who stay fit. That's another link, isn't it? Could Tonali work his magic? Has he got a bet on him?
He will. I can't wait for Tonali, me.
I know, me too. It's like having a new signing, isn't it? So who would you put your money on? I know we shouldn't be talking about betting and all that sort of stuff, but who would you say is our rock solid right wing and roughly who we would get now? If you had to put one name out there, who would you put?
I honestly don't. I know it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but I genuinely don't think there's anyone like standing out for that position at the minute. I mean, there's been various names mentioned, even up to the likes of Rafinha and people like that. There's been so many mentioned.
Yeah, Rafinha was before he went to Barca as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I think if I had to say which one, I mean, I still think just the fact that everyone agreed on him at board level with Elise, I think, is an advantage. But we have to wait and see what Chelsea and Man U are going to offer. But I'd say that's the most likely to happen. But really, in all honesty, we're waiting for a better update on that one because I think with the striker and the right winger, it's anyone's guess, really.
Nico Williams is another one from Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not heard too much
like
about
I say,
him.
we can throw names out, but the reality is there's nothing close at the minute.
Things will come closer. What about Kubu? I've not heard his name being mentioned.
No, not one that's been mentioned, really.
No, that's what we're trying to stick to, guys. We're trying to stick to people with names that have been linked to the club before. Somerville, I said, will be a cracking player, but again, we're sorted on that left-hand side, and that's where he mainly plays. So
yeah.
For me, that would be a waste of money.
I just want to point out, when you had O'Reilly on there before midfield, I don't think we're really prioritising a midfielder at the minute. Now, that's not to say that it won't necessarily happen, but I just think they'll go for other positions first. And then, let's say we do get the other positions covered, then maybe I could see us going in for him later in the window, but not right now. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. I think the O'Reilly one was literally if Bruno did go. He would be someone that we would be interested in. But that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, but we're just thinking, should we take the risk?
We've actually got 8 midfielders, when you count sort of Miley and Anderson and people like that. So we've got good depth in that midfield when we get to Tonali back.
Definitely have. Right, before we go on to the strikers, we'll just quickly put this up again. Hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying it. Consider becoming a member. Link is at the top of the chat. Don't forget to go to Will's Twitter page and sign up to follow him. He does loads of spaces and good stuff on there, and you'll hopefully be on here once a week. That's what we're trying to
hopefully.
doing. Yeah, fingers crossed. Don't forget about Yins as well. That's his Twitter handle. He had to be a knob and have 487333068 on it, didn't he? Does my head in trying to, and Morrow as well. Morrow's like MORO 4. I'm like, it never finds you, man. It never. You're just a statistic, Ian, when you got numbers. And I've got 080808 on mine. So how can I have a go at him? Don't forget about our amazing sponsors, Diacro, 20% off for everyone. Link is in the description. Same for football prizes. Amazing raffles. And Benfield are doing an amazing charity match, which they do once a year. Please get yourself down there to tenner. I think it's like £3.50 a pint, if I can remember rightly. And the pints are not that bad. So get yourselves down there and support a good cause. And don't forget, you can donate bottom left-hand corner if you want to. And all the money goes into a pot, and we're going to be looking to donate more money to charity as much as we can. Right, but just over the hour, so I want to get through the strikers as quick as possible. I don't want to keep these all too much going, because we do try and do an hour and then try and end it there, but we're a little bit behind. We've got Sesko, Garazi and Tony Will. Sesko, for me, probably not going to happen because we're not in the Champions League. He'll probably go to Arsenal. Garazi, 28 appearances, 28 goals, £15 million release clause. Got to be worth a risk. And then obviously there's the Tony situation, which he looks like he will be leaving Brentford if Brentford are interested in Wilson. So can there be a swap deal done there somehow?
Potentially, who knows? I mean, Tony's not really one that's been mentioned to me recently, but like you say, with Brentford being interested in Wilson, from my information, there could potentially be a deal done there. I mean, I think we'd have to add a bit of money on top of Wilson.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, potentially could be.
Greasy, have you heard anything there? I know there's a few clubs interested in him.
I think that's a genuine link, and out of the three you've mentioned there is probably the best value for money. It's just he's going to have a lot of competition. A lot of people are going to want to buy him, I think. And then I think Sesko's the most concrete out of the targets, but like Garazi, I think there's going to be a lot of competition for Sesko, and it's going to take a hefty fee, but I think we'd be willing to pay
clause, hasn't he? It's 54 or 55 million release clause.
Yeah, I do think we'd be willing to pay it, but like you say, with us missing out, I mean, we're not in Champions League and we're not even in Europe, so I think that one's going to be difficult, but I think the club would love it.
Yeah, the right age, right profile. We've wanted him before he went to where he went to. Obviously, the in-club trading between the Red Bull teams, which was very, very annoying because I thought we were one of the front runners for him until that happened. Tammy Abraham, he's a name that's just dipped off the radar since we got knocked out of the Champions League and he wasn't in our group anymore.
Yeah, like I say, not one that's been mentioned to me, but I mean, he seems to have disappeared, doesn't he, Tammy Abraham?
Yeah, he does.
He was all the talk a few years ago, and I think he's been quite unlucky with injuries as well. But
all the time we drew them in the Champions League, wasn't he? And as well as Tomori at centre back, and then he's just gone off the radar as well.
I know. Yeah,
I like Tomori. I hope we can attract Sesko. He definitely excites me. He is very good. Nice to see you skip my comment for a fact they won't come. He's made it. I didn't skip your comment. I put your comment up. I don't have time to read every single one out, mate. It's not as easy as you think. Very, very quickly, Will, because it's the last little comment, and Ian, you get your chance to say about this as well. Minter, now we're all looking at a right winger. Potentially, he's had a great season at Feyenoord. He scored 10 goals. He's got 5 assists in 17 starts. He's played 27 times. Do you think he goes back out on loan again, or do you think he could save us a lot of money? Or do we still keep him, buy another right winger, and then you can sell Murphy and Miggy?
I mean, with Minter, I'm pretty sure he's going to be assessed in pre-season by Eddie Howe, but I still think the most likely scenario with him is that he goes back out on loan somewhere. Whether that'll be Feyenoord again, I don't know. But I think he will get a loan somewhere, most likely. But I think it'll be a good loan. The club will definitely, and he'll have a lot of suitors as well with how he's been performing.
I mean, the Liverpool manager he's ex-manager as well, and there's been links already to him, isn't there? So
yeah,
I'll take a hefty fee though because he's got a lot of potential. Ian, would you like to see him stay, buy another right winger, have them two challenging it, and then you can get rid of Murphy and Miggy at the ripe age of 29 and 30?
Yeah, I agree with Will. it would be.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, yeah, he's already said that he's going to have a look at him in the summer, but I think the final president spoke out and says he really wants him to go back there, even though the manager's leaving. So even though he's settled there and he knows the players, so I think he probably will end up going back to Feyenoord.
Yeah,
I'm not totally against. I am very happy he is going to give him a part of pre-season though to see what he offers.
With someone like Mint, what you don't want to do is you don't want to put him in your squad and then not play him and just halt his progress. If we're going to keep him, we can only keep him if we feel like he's ready. Otherwise, we're just hindering his career.
Yeah, I agree with that. There is that risk, isn't there? You don't want to keep him. A bit like Miley as well. Next season's a big season for him.
Yeah, it is.
He's had a taste of it. He knows he can perform, but he's going to be right down the pecking order, isn't he? So what do we do with him as well? Do we loan him out? Do we keep him because we need the English contingency potentially? Do we want to keep him around the great players we've got for his development? Or do we want to loan him out to a championship club potentially? Someone like Middlesbrough played good football. You know, there's Leeds who play good football. You might want to loan him out to a club like that to keep his progression going. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find out more about it very soon. Right, that's the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to go and follow Will, follow Ian. You can follow myself if you want to. I'm not really that bothered. Really enjoyed this chat, though. It's flown by. Some great stuff there. And hopefully, I think next Tuesday we'll try and do another one if we can, if it suits everyone. And hopefully we'll have some more information by then. I know my friend's back from holiday on Friday and he says he's going to try and get some stuff for me. So that'll be interesting. But keep an eye out on Will's account because he always puts everything out on Twitter as quick as he can. So please follow him because he's a great lad. Anyone want to say anything else before we go?
I'm all right tonight, mate.
I think we've covered most of it.
I think we have. I think we've blasted it all out and we've done really well. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Yeah, Tuesday, I guess, will be the next show because we haven't got any live ones. Oh, Champions League watch along. I'll be doing that on Saturday. Might as well. Got a bit of money on it, so hopefully I'll win. Right.
Fingers crossed.
Take care, everyone. Fingers crossed. Good
See
night,
you later.
everyone.
Night.
See you later.
Bye, everyone.